Thank you for being here tonight. It's December 2nd, a Monday, the Town of Poolesville Commissioners meeting. On hand, our town staff, Wade Yost and Niles Endereg, as well as for the commissioners behind the desk, and Alan Hobbs is joining us virtually. Town engineer John Strong is also in the house tonight. Before we get moving, trying to remember where I announced the closed session. Now or?
Your announcements.
Okay, gotcha. I don't know why I got all confused there for a second. I felt like I was reading Bobby's agenda again. All right, guys, thank you, everybody, for being here. Ed, if you don't mind, could you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Be glad to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. All right. All right, I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated.
Strong leadership, Ed.
Very strong leadership. Good job, man.
Oh, Hobbs, I don't know if you can see us, but I can see you.
All right, guys, thank you.
You're muted.
That's okay.
No, Alan's muted.
Now he's good.
Yeah.
I'm back.
All right, good to see
Turn him
you.
up a little bit.
Pledge.
Yep, I will work. I wanted to.
Alan, give us a test.
Test, I'm here.
Yep.
All right.
Okay, very
Can you
good.
hear me?
Yeah, but it's giving a weird feedback, so I'm trying to work that out. Just give me 1 second. It's because, what? Yeah, that's why I'm doing this. I want to make sure we're all good. Okay, go ahead.
All right, we're good to go? Thank you, guys. All right, so we just emerged out of closed session, and under our closed session, we interviewed for planning commission members. We had a vacancy created when Brian Butt was elected to the town commissioner board, and so then we had to fill one spot on our planning commission. We interviewed 4 candidates. They were all excellent candidates with very, very difficult time trying to figure out who would be the right member to add. They all brought unbelievable qualifications. I know my fellow commissioners feel the same way. There was a lot of debate, and we had excellent candidates across the board. We did hold a vote, and Martin Radigan was asked to return to the Planning Commission as a Planning Commission member. So congratulations to Martin, and also to our other 3 candidates. We will be in touch because we will have roles for you as time goes on. And you did a great job in your interviews, and we appreciate you coming in. So that was our order of business during our closed session. And thanks to all the commissioners for coming in early, town staff, et cetera, to help guide us through the interview process. It's time for our announcements and our committee reports. You know, I'm at a loss here. Usually I would get Jeff do his thing. So now I guess I'll still start on this side. Brian, if you want to help us out on the planning commission.
Yep, no meeting since the last commissioners meeting, so there's nothing new to report, except we have a new planning commission representative. That would be Martin Radigan.
Great, thank you. Give us a preview of what you think you're going to be talking about at the next meeting. You can defer to town staff if you want.
No, I know parking is on a big hot topic on the agenda, so we're still working on the Central Arts District and some of the zoning in that area, and parking's gonna be a big hot topic for that.
And then we'll have the election of officers for the planning commission, and then also we'll have the Bricken property wants to come in about the extension of their preliminary plan. So it's about to expire, so they want to come in for an extension for that.
What is the standard extension time if there is one?
12 months.
Okay, got it. That's what I thought. Okay, very good. Thank you for that, Brian. Appreciate it. Ed, do you want to get us into fair access and sustainable?
Sure, I'm going to hold the fair access for Sarah with Sustainable Poolesville. We have not had our meeting. The plan is to have one in December. And so we're working on the date because it falls right around the Christmas holiday. So
Got it.
nothing new since the last meeting.
I know when you reeled in the bronze award for sustainable, from Sustainable Maryland, was that what it was, the group?
Sustainable Maryland, right.
Yeah, very good. Okay, cool.
That was the team, not me, it was the team.
Understand that. You're more or less
You
just
all
announcing.
reeled in the
Right,
Yeah,
right, gotcha.
team effort.
Are we going to get something new, some sort of recognition? Do we have to get out the tall ladder? What do we have?
They added it to, so that plaque over there has each year that we get recertified. So they, at the conference where they announced it, they also added a year to the plaque.
And that's been added already to the
Yep.
plaque? I knew that.
Just making sure we stay on our toes, right?
That's right, just checking with you guys. Anyway, that's great news. Thank you for that. Congratulate the committee again.
Will do.
For their hard work and their efforts, so we appreciate that. Sarah, want to take us through fair access?
Sure. We haven't met since my last update because we met right before that. And if you remember, I was talking about the sort of spreadsheet that we're working on with all the different county positions in it. We're trying to make sure that there's better representation of the Western County on those county boards. So that is still a work in progress, and Nancy's doing a fantastic job creating that. We're also coming up on the anniversary for White's Ferry closure, and there's not a lot of great developments going on there. But what we are planning on now is Link has written a fantastic editorial that we're hoping he can get into the Washington Post. Our hope is to push for more national coverage and recognition of what's going on. So that's the efforts that we continue to make in that front. We also have the big holiday event at Locals on December 5th, and we have over 42 attendees that have already RSVP'd, including at least 6 of our county council members, the entire D15 delegation, the county executive office, and lots of our local business and other leaders, community leaders there. So that will be a fantastic event. We have a meeting planned with Gabe Albornoz, who is the county council member who's over health and human services. So we're going to be talking about WUMCO, in particular dental care providers. So continuing to advocate for some of WUMCO's needs and the work that they're doing. And I don't know if you remember last time, but I kind of referenced the budget hearings that would be coming up over the next few months. And so Link will be scheduled to testify on December 16th, we believe. That'll be over Zoom. And that will be on the economic development study in particular is what that topic is going to be on. So.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very good. Alan, what you got for us from Parks?
Well, Parks, I know we have our December meeting's going to be canceled due to a couple of the presidents and vice president not going to be able to attend. So I have yet to attend a Parks meeting, but I am looking forward to it. That will be taking place in January. So I have a lot to discuss with my fellow Parks and Boards guys, and I will report back during our next commission meeting next month.
Very good. And Alan and Brian, too. I know that town staff is going to have an update on the Trails Committee during our town staff update.
Yeah, and they'll be talking about that at the January Parks meeting. So that will be part of that discussion as well, but we'll talk about that later.
Read my mind. Actually, I just mentioned it, and then you followed up, yeah. Okay, very good. Thank you for that. And one thing to add to the Fair Access Report is Link and I are going to be actually going down to County Council tomorrow, where we're going to witness the changeover of the offices there, and that we'll be meeting up. And anybody's welcome to go with us, but you got to take your own car down because we're going to go in separate directions when it's done. So it'll be, I think we're both going to try and be there by 10. And then at 11 o'clock, Link, if you want to give it a little more background on what we're going to see at 11 regarding White's Ferry. I don't want to mess it up. You're our attorney.
I play one on TV.
We know.
The Department of Transportation has asked for a special counsel to be appointed to help them understand the legal issues in Virginia. That sounds more positive than it really is. It doesn't mean he's going to file anything or the person has any legal authority to do anything in Virginia. But they do understand they're a law firm from Virginia, so they understand Virginia law. And the purpose of it, in part, is that the DOT continues to negotiate. They think that there may be a possibility they can get something that gets closer to a settlement. And when they do that, they want to understand what the legal implications are in Virginia. So, yes, it's positive, but it's not substantial at this point because it doesn't mean anything's changed, really.
Yeah, so it's not a get your hopes up moment, but we're going to show up and we're going to be present when they have a discussion, which we don't think there'll be much discussion on it either, but it's just to let them know that we're there. And we'll be doing that tomorrow. So we'll see if we can get something out of it. We have been carrying on offline conversations with Chris Conklin from DOT. Sometimes I'm best at pulling things out of them. Sometimes Link is, sometimes neither one of us are. But
It's an accident, we don't know why he says anything.
yeah, we don't. We just try to ask the questions and see what happens. We can probably, I'll share this with the commissioner, send the email train out. It's not privileged information, but we're also trying to, even 4 years into this, they caution us to be, not make a scene because, they may be doing something. So I just, we just go down there and pay attention to it tomorrow and see what we get out of it. The mere fact that they're taking the step to do something with this special counsel is interesting, and who knows what it'll yield.
Yeah,
So,
it's
well,
something.
Yeah, and we'll let you guys know. When we get done tomorrow, I'll send something out to everybody, and you can get brought up to speed on it.
One thing to note, I sent you guys all, you should have it, some background on the committees, the council. The new president will be Kate Stewart. She will be there.
Yeah.
So try to introduce yourself to her, because the president is a very important part of the council. And Andrew was great, but he's not going to be there next year. He'll be the vice president. So she's really important to get to know her.
Okay. And the vice president's not known yet, correct? No,
It
they
may
got-
not be, it's not going to be Friedson, because he was before, so I don't know.
Yeah,
who's-
it's going to be interesting to see who that is.
Yeah.
Because that's the ascendant position, which, being in the ascendant position, which will then be an election year when that's over with,
Right.
is going to be an interesting spot for somebody.
Very much so.
So we'll see how all that comes together. We'll get the vibe when we're down there tomorrow, so we'll let you know what's happening with that. Okay, very good, appreciate that. Everybody's committee reports. We'll see everybody on Thursday. And then also too, I got a note from David Frazier Hidalgo about his fundraiser that he has coming up at Brian Feldman's house. I'll circulate that to everybody. If you can make it, great. I'll definitely be going. It's always a good time when you go down to Brian's house, and there'll be a lot of people there that you can get to know. Alan, if you're in town, it's a good time, and I'll help organize all that for a little bit. But it's in a week and a half. December, very busy.
Yeah.
Every night, something going on with these various committees, a lot of fundraisers. We just have to make what we can. There's also Historic Medley has their gathering that's coming up as well. So I'm going to organize a little chart, and we'll talk about what we have that's coming up, and see you can attend.
Because you got David's, I think, on the 10th. You got Linda's, Foley's is going to be at Brian's house on the 11th. with
Yeah.
Conflicts with.
They're both
Something
doing
else.
it at Brian Feldman's.
Well, but I think on the 11th, we have Historic Medley.
Yeah, we have
Historic
historic
medley.
medley.
Yeah, which we need to,
Yep.
to me, that's my priority.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'll
there's,
be there for
So,
that.
yeah. So anyway, we'll get it organized and see who can attend what. And then we also talked about MML today and their legislative dinner, which I have not gone to, but if you're going to go there.
I'll go, but I can only stay till 7 o'clock.
And what do
I can do
we have
6 to
something
7.
going on that night too? Or are you playing basketball?
Well, actually, Poolesville is playing, and because Poolesville doesn't have a home court, then I'll try to go to many games as possible because the crowds will be smaller. So we're playing
Right.
QO
Yeah.
on that same night.
That's the closest thing to a home game we're going to have
Yeah,
the
it
whole
is,
season.
yeah.
So,
So
all right,
I
that
definitely
makes
want to
sense.
support our school.
Okay, good. I might join you on both of those then.
Okay.
6 to 7 and
6 to 7,
scoot up to
we're out.
QO.
7:15 is
Right.
the next game.
Okay, good. All right, that sounds like a game plan, guys. Appreciate that. Also, too, in Fair Access have said we've got Fair Access pins now that we had done that we'll be giving out during our next, at all of our events.
They look good.
So, very good. It's already there in place.
Yes, I'm so
Thank you for that. Brian, Link, thank you for organizing it, getting it done, and we'll be handing them out at our event this Thursday coming up at Locals. So, anybody else have any other announcements, committee reports, et cetera? Link, did we miss anything from Fair Access? I am going to be doing something with Canal Towns coming up at the Bavarian Inn. That was the one that I can't remember what it was. So we're going to be doing a presentation there. And then Canal Towns is coming here in January. I'll give everybody plenty of notice on what we're doing there. But it's a good time to meet all these neighboring towns and concerns. So, all right, public comment. There's nobody here. No
Jerry?
No Jerry Klobakowski not coming in tonight. Nothing?
Cold, huh?
Nothing from him? Okay. All right, I just feels weird. All right. Very good. All right, we had minutes from our installation meeting of the commissioners. All commissioners were in attendance. Does someone want to make a motion for the approval of the minutes for our November 18th, 2024 meeting?
I motion approval of the minutes from November 18th.
Incumbent Sarah makes the motion for approval of the minutes. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Second from the new guy, Brian. All right, very good. So we have a motion and we have a second for approval of the minutes for November 18th, 2024. Anybody have any questions, want to make changes, something they didn't see, they didn't like, et cetera?
Nope.
Giving it a double check right now? No? Good?
That's good.
All right, all those in favor of approving the minutes from November 18th, 2024, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None? Thanks, Alan. That's 5-0 for approval of the minutes. New business, State Revolving Loans Resolution 003-24. This is an introduction, and Wade will give us some background on it.
Sure, last year staff. put
Jay?
together- Yes, Jay and Kimberly.
Hey,
So,
all right. Hey there, guys.
So last year, we did put together a package to the state to request funding for enclosures for well 2 and well 3 filtration units, as well as redoing the water lines in Westerly. So we have a resolution we're introducing tonight, and then Jay and Kimberly are going to walk us through the process.
Got it. Thank you. Good seeing your smiling faces, guys.
Good seeing you guys. It's good to see the team, the new team all together.
Yep.
I guess when you don't see your lawyers, it's probably an okay thing, right? Because you don't always know when you see your lawyers. So
Yeah.
anyway, I wanted to brief you on what we're going to do. This is a process of borrowing, basically. And that's an unusual process for Poolesville because Poolesville usually pays with cash it saves and pays cash all the time. But sometimes the public financing aspect is too good to pass up, and this is one of them. So there's the state program that Wade and company has applied for, and we've used it in the past through MBE, the revolving loan fund, which basically is a borrowing from the state. Of course, it's not quite that simple, right? Anything dealing with the state has strings attached and red tape. And to cut through the red tape, you need a bond counsel. And even though we're not doing our own bond, it's basically the same type of process, a little simplified. And so my office has used Kimberly for the last 15 plus years, I guess, to do the bond work for my other clients throughout the state. And so I wanted to have her come on and introduce herself to you, although you probably will never see her and she doesn't really need to come to the meetings, but I wanted you to get a flavor of who's doing our work and her background and kind of the details that she's going to be dealing with. So Kimberly, why don't you take it away?
Sure, and just to give folks a little bit of my background, as Jay said, I'm a finance attorney, so if I'm at a meeting, then it's about to get a little boring, right? But I do try, as you can see, to use as does Jay. So my background is that I represent a ton of municipalities over the state of Maryland and assist them with their financings, whether it's through MDE, whether it's directly, or whether it's through a USDA program. We regularly represent towns and cities in connection with the MDE financings. They do have a pretty user-friendly program that offers an extremely attractive interest rate, and they're offering those funds, to encourage the towns to upgrade their water and wastewater programs. So as I understand it, right, MDE has offered an award for one of your projects, and so we're going to have a 2-stage resolution process. The first one tonight is very simple and very easy. What we're going to do is we're going to adopt a resolution that says that whatever costs we might incur, we intend to reimburse them with a financing down the road with MDE. And so we're not borrowing any money today. We're not even authorizing the borrowing of any money today. What we are doing is we are simply declaring what we call an official intent so that you can easily reimburse yourselves for whatever costs that you incur from your bond proceeds once those are issued. And so you will perhaps see or hear from me again when there is a resolution to adopt and introduce to authorize the borrowing. MDE is, shall we say, a little hands-on on some of their documentation and procedures. So they like to review the resolution and all of that before it's introduced. to the commission for adoption. And once they've done that and gone through their box checking, I will be assisting Jay with the preparation and the circulation and the discussion of that resolution when the time comes. In the meantime, you can, easily incur costs, right, for the project, and know that if you choose to have them reimbursed, it's not required. If you choose to have them reimbursed down the road, you're set up to do that. And so that's what today is. Happy to answer any questions.
Commissioners, I mean, I kind of reviewed this earlier today, so what do,
That's what this
any-
resolution 003-24 states,
right,
right? In so many words.
yeah, so
And we're
Jay,
not adopting this, we're just considering it today, and then they're going to run it by MDE.
So
yeah,
there are two resolutions. The one today can be adopted.
Oh, it can be, okay.
Yes, and should be, because it starts a clock. And after that clock
Got it.
starts, right, you're able to incur the costs that can be reimbursed.
Okay,
And then there will be a later borrowing resolution that will
okay.
be several more pages. than
got it. This is just the intent one.
well,
Correct.
this one allows us to go ahead and spend money, essentially.
Yeah, and so on that same framework we're talking about, we have till June of 2025 to have bid documents in place and go out to bid with the projects. So that's a tight timeline right there. That's why we're trying to put everything in the pipe and get it going, so to speak.
Right, yeah, I got it. Yeah, so, we know this is the beginning of something that's going to be a lot of money spent and a lot of money recouped. So we have to look at this. And then the second resolution comes when we actually embark on the projects, or we're having, we have to have, is that part of the does that take place way off in the distance?
I mean, I wouldn't say too far in the distance. MDE goes through a process where when they're, quote, ready to assign this project out to their outside counsel, that outside counsel will review a resolution that we prepare to make sure that it's okay. I've prepared this resolution for them countless times, so I have no doubt it will be okay. And then they want us, after they've approved it, because they're going to provide us with some documents to go with it, that at that time it gets introduced. My guess is, depending on MDE's, where they have you in their pipeline, as far as their approvals are concerned, as I understand it, there's a part of MDE, not their council, that is still, waiting for something, and they haven't advised me what that is in order to assign it to outside counsel. It just might be that hasn't quite made it down to you on the list. And so once it does, they'll let me know. They'll let me know if they have any comments to the resolution, and then I'll be preparing that to be provided to you for introduction and adoption.
Why don't I remember us doing this in the past?
We've not taken a loan out for a long time.
I was going to say, all we've been doing is paying, but we haven't been borrowing.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right.
And was
I
this,
don't think we've done one since I've been there.
yeah,
It's been that long, yeah.
I know we celebrated, do our mortgages, as it would be, but,
Yes.
but this is, I guess, our time to take on another one, and it makes sense. And are we going to have, first, we're going to have we'll have an approval of this resolution that I'm assuming that the board will pass tonight. And then after that, are we going to, the payment terms and the whole forgivable loan aspect of this, or the borrowing or the paying back, that doesn't have anything to do with this resolution that we're talking about right now?
No, the specifics, and go ahead, Kim, I'll let you.
Oh, no, this, as I mentioned, doesn't require you to borrow anything, and
Right.
it certainly doesn't require you to accept any particular terms. Those are being negotiated, and the interest rate will get set at the time closer to closing. Typically, it's pretty favorable, which is why you would even borrow through this program. It's almost cheaper, right, than pay-go, because you can invest your general fund and use these funds. We don't really call that arbitrage, right? That's not a good word. But if you have the financing available to you, and to allow these costs to be spread over a period of time where all users are sort of paying equally for these improvements, that's typically what can be done for these types of long-term, useful life improvements that last typically 30 to 40 years.
So you guys get this. This is about infrastructure is a long-term loan scenario.
Yeah.
It's money that's going to be going into the ground. It's not something that typically we would pay cash for, or that we would need to pay cash for. The loan rates at the time when they get negotiated are going to be at least a couple points below anything that we would normally see for normal borrowing. At least a couple points, if not more. And so tonight's first step is to everybody needs to be familiar with the resolution. We normally, you guys, and new board members, most of the time, we hear something in new business, and then we take care of it in old business 2 weeks later. But we can see that the weight of this, and then the obligation that this is creating is just a starting point. So it's not something that we have to be afraid of tackling in its entirety tonight. We've got, the town staff has much bigger fish to fry after this when they design all the work that's going to have to be done. Again, they've got a very fast time frame that's coming up in this summer. We have to have this thing basically completely sketched out, and the bids have to be prepared by a certain time, or they have to be
Going out to bid by June 2025.
June 2025. That's a very fast timeline for us, and it's a lot of money, but we also have clearly identified, thanks to John and the work of town staff, how the money is going to be spent and the work that needs to be done and how it needs to be prioritized. And we can hear more about that as time goes on. Jay, anything else you want to contribute to that, buddy?
Nope, I think this really protects the town. Look at it from that perspective, is that until you pass this, you're not going to be able to recoup any of the money and time you spend. So you want to pass this as soon as you can.
Okay.
And just a round number question, the amount of, like, the money that we're going to be paying Clark Azar, this is going to be something that is going to be potentially rolled into this?
Yes.
Okay, so from a just straight up initial engineering standpoint, preparation of bids, et cetera, all going to be something that's,
All the project costs, yep. Even
Yeah.
the soft costs in the front. Mhm.
okay, good. All right, very good. Thanks, Kim, for that. Kim, I'll do the puns when you said the pipeline. That falls under my category to the dad style jokes. So
Yeah.
appreciate that, but that was good. I liked it. Anybody else? You guys have questions for Jay or Kim? Alan, anything on your side?
No, I looked at the resolution, reviewed it. The intent part of it is very easy to understand. So, I get it. And like you said, it's a favorable time. And it protects, like Jack had said, it protects the town, so.
Right on. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Anything else, staff, anybody?
Feels straightforward.
Yeah, it's very clear.
Do we have to read the resolution all the way through? Or can it be just named by name?
Just by name, like we do, yep.
Okay, so, Kim, Jay, thanks a lot for all the background, town staff, your work on it too. So I'd like to see if we can get a motion of approval of resolution number 003-24, and you can call it the state revolving loans resolution.
I motion that we approve Resolution 003-24, the state's revolving loan resolution.
Okay, motion made by the Martin substitute on the motioning. Sarah, from now on, we appreciate that motion. Do we have a second?
I'll
I'll
second.
second.
Okay, Alan, I heard Brian first because he's sitting on my left. You'll get the next one. So we have a motion made by Sarah. We have a second by Brian. Are there any other questions on the resolution? Anything for town staff? Anything for the attorneys? Nope. Okay, all in favor of approving resolution 003-24, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None? That's okay. It's been approved 5-0. Thanks for the work, attorneys, town staff. We appreciate you. Let's start spending some money.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, guys.
All right,
Very
see you.
good. Appreciate
Right.
it.
Thank you.
You're welcome to
Take
hang
care.
around.
Okay.
You don't have to. Yeah, we're not, right?
Yeah. No, we're fine. It's such a pleasure meeting all of you, and I look forward to working with you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate
Care.
it. Thanks for your work.
Sure.
All right, guys, very good. All right, next up,
We
town
got a
staff.
presentation. We're going to be talking about PFAS, another infrastructure project.
CFAS.
And round 3 or 4, I don't know which it is now. So you know that we have well 2 and 3. They're outfitted with filters, and we were able to get the filtration units, go through the MDE process and all that stuff. We had to fund it ourselves, of course. We'll probably recoup that through a couple of the lawsuits that we are now starting to receive money in 2025 from DuPont, Tyco. There's a couple other ones too that are class action lawsuits that we joined 2 years ago are now being settled, and they'll be sending money our way. How much, we don't know yet. We're smaller, so it's based on how many gallons you pump per day and what your concentrations are and all that kind of stuff. But now we're at the part where we're looking at the rest of our system. We know we have the EPA's ruling came out of 4 parts per trillion. We have 8 wells. We have 6 of them have levels just above 4, from 4.5 to 11 was the highest of the remaining ones. So we're looking at a way to really treat them, and we have difficulties because you'll see the pictures of the huge filtration units. Some of the parcels are so small, the well houses are very small, they can't accommodate them. So we need to tie some wells together. And that's kind of what this discussion we're going to talk about tonight. So roll with it, Johnny.
Okay. So PFAS, as you say, we're going to try to consolidate some of the wells and possibly reduce some of the costs involved. It is a complicated issue that needs to be addressed. What else?
Next slide.
Okay. All right. So we're going to run through the background and to give those that may not be aware of it what the issues are. Then consolidation, treatment consolidation, proposed tie-ins, and the costs involved. None of this is extremely cheap, sorry to say. All right, so like Wade said, EPA came out and said, all right, it's 4 parts per trillion, which is one of the ways that has been explained to us is a drop, detection is at a drop in 20 Olympic-sized swimming pools. Why is this important? It's a long chain carbon, and the body doesn't react very well to that. So we're addressing a problem that's been identified, and why has it just come up is EPA didn't have a good way of testing it until 2018. Okay, wells 2 and 3. 3 was our first one that came on that we did a pilot study. This was done with the town's money and brought online so that we could pump from that well, and that is active. Well 2 is been installed, and these are the what we call the GAC tanks, the activated carbon tanks that get installed, and through there is a great big activated charcoal filtration system that comes on, and we pump the water through it. It's a lead lag configuration, and what that lead lag configuration means is the lead filter picks up the carbon, and I mean not the carbon, the PFAS into the carbon. And then by it gets through the secondary filter, by the time it gets there, there's nothing. And then we wait for what there's called breakthrough, and we wait for that intermediate point in between the 2 tanks to show some PFAS getting through, and then we know that first vessel is full of as much PFAS as can be treated, and then we switch the tanks so that we end up in what they call a lead lag situation. Filtration units are installed, and it removes 100% of the PFAS at this point. And there's many, many different variations of that PFAS. Several other wells, such as 4, 8, and 11, those levels are such that there's that the treatment's not a real big issue. Compliance is by 2029.
For us to comply with the ones that are lower levels.
Right. So we need to get this together, and otherwise we have to start pulling wells offline, and that's one of the things that that's driving this consideration.
The enclosures we were just talking about, you can see how large these vessels are. So the well houses are very tiny little well houses that really the only treatment they have right now is chlorine, which is mandated by MDE. So not much in there for equipment or anything like that. So expansion of all of these sites is necessary.
Okay, next. All right, so what we're, as you can see, these are all the locations of the wells at the present time. And you can see they're fairly spread out. So we would have to be looking at somehow tying some of these wells together in order to bring in a loop system. And again, some of these well houses are just too small in order to take the GAC systems on, because we're going to have to build structures around them so that in the wintertime, when it's cold like this, the pipes don't freeze. We looked at a couple different ways of doing this, and we've also identified the maximum flow rate that we can take through those lines if we install them using a 4-inch poly line that's bored into the area. These well lines would probably be connected in about 4 foot of depth, because it's a pressurized system. And then also it would be in an area where there isn't a water line or there isn't a sewer line nearby, because there is requirements for separation of sewer and water lines, even though this is a raw water line.
There's probably so many conflicts with the utilities also, but not having to excavate, replace all the paving and everything, boring is the best option for us to go with.
Yep. All right, so like we said before, wells 11 and 13, they have low PFAS. And one of the benefits of, we already have wells 7 and 9, uranium removal, and that's a preparatory media, and that is removing the PFAS already, so we don't have to treat those 2 wells. Wells 2 and 3, well, the units are installed, and we expect to have those up and running. We do need permanent enclosures around both of those still. We have a temporary enclosure around well 3 at the present time. Well 2's offline only when the weather is such as it is right now. Wells 4, 5, 6, 8, and 12, they require treatment. Wells 5, 8, and 12 are restricted in the ability to house those units.
This is kind of just our process of going through it and saying, okay, these wells have here's what their levels are. We have concentration levels of PFAS set with each one of them, so we know which ones they can be mixed with and what's most economical to do it with. But sites 5, 8, and 12 are definitely no-goes for any type of treatment system, just because of the parcel configuration or the well house size itself, or it's right in between 2 houses, like over behind the middle school in Hunter's Run too. So it's very difficult to make that happen in those 3 places at least.
Okay.
Does that mean that they can't be treated at all for PFAS?
No, so what we're going to do, and I'll jump in here for a second, John.
Yeah.
So if, on the left right there, you'll see by Stony Springs, that's well number 12. We want to run a line straight down West Willard Road, tie that into the well house that houses well 4 and 14 already. And that's a larger building, bigger parcel. We can actually expand that building and go ahead and put the treatment units there and treat all 3 wells at one location.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with well 5 on Elgin Road, right past the bus stop where you guys, your neighborhood there. Take that one straight down to well 12, or well 13, which is the Kettler well by the park right there. Again, another big parcel. And that building actually has the storage room in front of it. We might be able to just use that building as is for that. We still have to do some more engineering work on that to see if it'll work. And then we also have options in here for well 8 to come all the way up to well 6, which again is a very large structure. It's like the biggest well house we have. We could probably make accommodations there, tie those 2 wells together. Well 11 is like 0.98 parts per trillion, so it's well below the average, but we still show we could actually take that over to 6 if we wanted to, but I wouldn't count on any federal monies to help pay for that, because it's not in violation of the EPA regulation. And then we also showed that the potentiality for running 2 and 3 over to the old well site 1 if we needed to in the future. But the more we talk about it, the less wells we have tied together all in one place is probably better, because once we have to shut it down and do the change out of the filtration media, the well's down for 3 days. So now 2 wells will be down for 3 days, or 3 wells, depending on how the configuration goes. So
One of the other things is that, sometimes well pumps go out, so we don't want to be dependent upon
Right.
that particular treatment facility being able to pump it. A couple of the wells do require a booster station, and that we have because of radon treatment. We'll have to address that too at the design period to take a look and see what we have to do, if anything.
Yeah, I think it's several of the pumps, like the well pumps themselves, we've not done the work on it, but no longer will we be pumping to the level of, what it takes to lift the water to the top of the elevated storage tank right there. It's gonna pump it straight across the ground, so if you leave it like it is, it's gonna pump way too much water, so there'll be a lot of reconfiguration of different equipment and pumps, for head pressure and different things.
Correct. The other thing that, the good news is that wells 4 and 14 are also tied together. And we do know that we probably have an elevated issue in well 4 that we have to address. That's to be determined. So, and there's plenty of space there too. So this configuration brings us to a point where we have the space to set up the treatments.
Now we can talk money. You don't want to know that.
So you'd be reconsolidating into 5 different well heads,
Well, locations,
treatment centers?
yeah.
Okay. And for some of those, there's existing structures that you would modify, and for some of them, it would be a completely new structure.
Yeah, I got a feeling that due to the size of the tanks, the height of the tanks, there would have, if it is an existing structure, we're probably going to have to modify the roof line at least.
Not only just housing them, there's also to get the equipment in to be able to suck the old media out and install the new media too, through a rooftops or.
Access.
So those huge tanks that you're showing us at the beginning, those stay above ground?
That's correct, yeah. And there's a access hatch that the media, when they change out the media, basically think of a great big vacuum cleaner, comes in and sucks it out and then blows it back in. So there's a whole process that takes place there. And there's a whole re-wetting process, I guess is the way to put it.
So it's about a 3-day process to do a change out.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that pulls the wells off the line for that period of time.
So then, even if there were a central location where we could treat all the water in one location, that wouldn't make sense because we'd have to take all the wells off the line. Change.
At that point, you would have very big filters, probably as big as this, but you'd probably have 4 of them. You'd have them in a parallel system, because there's some bigger water units up in New Hampshire and stuff that we did look at when we first started looking at these filtration units. So there's ways to do it, it's just the capital upfront cost would be.
Tremendous.
Yeah, I was talking to someone in New Jersey. I was up there this past weekend who is doing the same thing with a bunch of their municipalities. So,
And then just out of curiosity, and this really is irrelevant, but if you don't mind indulging me, what do they do with it when they remove it?
Send it to Mexico and burn it.
Do they really? Send it to Mexico and burn it?
I've been told, yeah.
so the way to break down the carbon chain is to go ahead and extreme heat. And they have great big furnaces. They toss it in and break it down, and then you recycle the carbon again.
It's 8 carbons to 1 fluorine. It's one of the strongest molecular bonds there is out there.
Yeah.
Wow.
There are other processes that are being looked at. I know that the University of Illinois is big into this at the present time and moving forward, but that's many years away, I think, at this point.
And you got to move those tanks from site to site.
No, they'll be,
Are these
they're all
tanks
the time.
permanent?
Yep.
Yeah.
They bring in a.
So we're gonna,
Facilities.
yes, so that you're talking about capital cost, and so it does reduce the capital cost by combining these wells also,
Right.
provide the tanks.
So the tank stays, you just replace the
The media.
material?
Media is in and out.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the tanks become a permanent structure,
Yes.
Yes.
right? And they're above ground, you said?
Yes.
And then what do you do just to make sure that they're protected from folks who might have mischievous intent?
Well, that's why the structures that we just talked about, the enclosures for well 2 and well 3, that we're talking about for the loan, that's exactly where that's done.
To create a closed-in structure
Close it
around
in,
them?
close
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would this also make it so that, for example, well 2 would not have to be shut off in cold weather?
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay.
And that's one of the big things that we want to do is bring that back online. So
Okay.
it can be run, traditionally, it's been on and off due to cold weather because there's a chlorine contact tank outside. So the intent is to enclose that so that it'll become a permanent structure that you won't have to take that well. And that's one of your larger producing wells.
That's great.
So you see the prices there, and these are just preliminary, but we need something to start with if we start, looking for federal monies to help pay for this. This is going to be our ultimate goal.
Yeah.
So, yeah, nothing to do right now. This is really informational. We're going to put something in the budget, so we have a line item in there, once it's approved by the legislative body. And we could use that as our, going forward for grants and loans that it's been already, or not loans, grants or forgivable loans, that's been approved by this body. So that's going to be an important piece of this. We've not talked really about the ongoing maintenance cost. Right now, it's $21,000 to do a change out with the filtration units. We did 3 last year in well 3. We think
3?
that- 3 different change outs.
Wow.
I think that we could talk with Kathy and Ma'am, I think we can spread it out, and maybe get it twice a year.
Using that analogy of a drop in 20 Olympic-sized swimming pools, that's a lot of water going through there to get that much PFAS. Maybe they don't hold that much of the PFAS. I don't know.
It's different change break through the carbon at different points.
Different rates.
And,
Okay.
Yeah, so it's the shorter change actually break through easier, but there's only a couple of those that are identified as an EPA list, which doesn't make it any better.
Right.
But the ones that are regulated, most of those are longer chains.
Surprised to hear you say 3. That's a lot.
Yeah. So, and it depends on the concentration. So the concentration of well 3 was 30 parts per trillion. So, it runs probably at least 150,000 gallons per day. So that's, that's quite a bit in parts
Yeah.
per trillion. You're breaking it down. Same thing with 2, and then if we have 3 more different locations, even though they're much lower concentrations, and they don't pump as much, and so hopefully we get away with just 1 year. So we're working on those calculations right
Yeah.
now. Kathy Mann is with us to figure, an estimated cost of this, but it's gonna be a couple $100,000
Yeah,
a year.
hundreds of thousands, yep.
Yeah. Which, also we talk about having wells out of service, and John said, wells do go down for well pumps and different things. Yeah, during the heat or the drought of the summer, if we have a pump go down and we have to swap out, that puts us in a bad place. So we're also looking at opportunities, what's out there for bringing another well online somewhere, what can be allowed.
What's the average downtime if a pump does go down?
A week easily.
Yeah, say
Maybe
40
more, it depends on
40
how busy the well driller is and, electrician or what the problem is.
Yeah.
They have to come out with a big rig. I mean, most of these are 500-foot down, 2.5-inch galvanized pipe, so it's a big rig coming out to pull it up.
Gotcha. Thank you.
And location, again, it gets kind of tight in some of those areas.
So this is just all like the county does their budget meetings and stuff. It's like, same thing here. A lot of stuff coming down the pike, and we're trying to just get it all addressed and things lined up to take care of it. So that's where it's all coming from.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
Has to
Any
be
questions?
addressed.
That was a lot of different stuff.
Yeah, any questions, guys? Just to reiterate, this is both a FYI and also the earliest salvo I think we've had for next year's budget and and budgets down the line. So we're going to be getting informed on some of these costs that are going to be costs that we will end up paying as time goes on. I mean, a lot of this we hope to be completely reimbursed for, but at the same time, it's going to be on our shoulders to some degree. We anticipate that the maintenance is going to be on our shoulders as time goes on.
Yeah, I would count on that.
So, the best case scenario probably is that we get reimbursed for some pretty big bucks that are going to be spent, and then with any luck, through our engineering, that we're going to be able to keep our maintenance expenses as far down as possible. So. All right, very good, guys. Interesting. Again, 5 years ago, we never heard of the word PFAS.
Yeah.
Now it's going to be one of the biggest parts of our budget going on. So,
Is it possible that MDE is going to come back and identify additional types of PFAS that they're going to regulate?
Well-
They're only regulating the longer chain
So-
ones, not the shorter chain ones?
Absolutely. And EPA, so uranium wasn't really on the radar 10 years ago. Actually, it was more than 10 years. Jeez. Yeah, it was closer to 2000 when they came out with the uranium standards and stuff, and they started testing our wells, and, which is, it's a good thing. But, when I talked to, there was a scientist that was in town, Dan Stout, I don't know if you knew him or not.
Sure, yeah.
He was a nuclear engineer, And he looked at the numbers, he said, this is ridiculous that they're having you pull this out of water because it's such a low amount. But even though the Health World Organization is 20 parts per million, where, United States is 30 parts per million, so.
Yeah, but the good news is that this was probably inevitable, was the creation of a well system that's going to be treatable in some way, shape, or form. So we're just addressing something that was going to come down the line no matter what.
Does that mean we make these enclosures as big as we can make them now so they can fit more filtration in them? If needed? I mean, it'd be cheaper to do it now than it would be
Down the
certainly
road.
inflationary, but I mean, like, going back and building another building because this one's not big enough and we got to put something else in it.
Well, the problem is how big is big?
Right. Yeah, fair.
And you don't know what the next contaminant they may identify that needs to be removed from the water either,
Right.
is. That's a great question, and I don't have an answer for you for that one.
But know this too, again, Wade hinted at it, that any of the discussions that we're having as we move forward, developing different, I'm not going to say new, but different sources of water, they'll be looked at in the future for, we, 20 years, 30 years ago, we drilled a well. We didn't, I'm going to make you bet it was not tested for uranium. They'd never heard of PFAS at that point. And so now in future sites and future, geography-related questions, we're going to be looking at all that as time goes on.
And new other regulations have come up that they tested our wells and they came out negative.
Yeah, it came out fine, right?
It's on both sides.
Yeah. Yeah, there's other communities, other places that have that have far greater problems than we have. And the other part is too, and we kind of talked about this today, is that, we're going to be reaching out, the staff is going to be reaching out to, this has costs associated with it, right? And we're going to be talking about this when it comes to budget time. We talked about how WSSCs, some of these other municipalities, this falls under WSSC's purview. They have a chance to stretch out these costs amongst, hundreds of thousands of customers. But here we are.
We don't have that.
We have our 6,000, plus people that live here. So we're going to be looking at different ways of how we're going to have to deal with it as time goes on. So, but we're going to get some cost models, and we're going to talk about, this is going to eventually all play into the cost of delivering water for, I don't want to step on your toes if we're going to be talking about this in the, yeah. So this is all going to come into play for how we charge for water. This is, again, we don't have the ability like WSSC does and some of the other municipalities that we're all going to talk to in MML meetings that that are part of that how they manage things. I mean, a lot of this, we could have a conversation, they'd be like, oh, talk to WSSC, we don't even know. We don't care, we don't know. But that's part of where we are and what we're doing here, and that's why we need the good engineering, good town staff recommendations. The creation of this web of water delivery is going to be, something that probably we knew early on that we're going to be forced to do at one point or another, so. Yeah, so the bigger the well house, the better, maybe.
Go tell John that, because he likes to design big buildings.
Oh, I know that.
You've seen well 9.
Yeah. I've seen him build a bathroom. I know where you're coming from. Anyway, so that was just my big picture, and thanks for all the town staff interactions on this prior to tonight. What else do you got for us on this thing? This is FYI plus.
That's all it is, yep.
Is it information?
Alan, anything for you, questions on it?
Nope, just digesting this all and taking my notes, but I appreciate the information.
Okay, very good. All right, guys, next up then.
So for the manager's report, we're going to talk a little bit about cybersecurity here. We applied for a grant through the state of Maryland that is technically through FEMA for cybersecurity. We have received, actually I received on Wednesday, our start date for this program will be April 7th, 2025. It's a two-step process. So they're first going to do an assessment of our current cybersecurity infrastructure. And then once that assessment is done, they will provide recommendations for remediation. And at that point, we can apply to a second part of the grant to get grant money to do those recommendations. So it's the first part is analysis, the second part is that. So we got confirmation of that today. And so that was my first thing.
Okay. Forest Bank, so, we adopted that Forest Bank for the townhouse that was gonna build it out there on Dr. Moore Court, town-owned property. That it's underway right now, they're clearing the invasive species, I think John's gonna inspect it probably tomorrow or the next day and give them the go. Once they do get that clear, they'll go ahead and start their plantings, so they have about 2 acres they're planting, I think, roughly around that, so.
And just take a step back, this is for the Petrella development behind the
Well,
CVS.
it's more than that. So it's a forest bank developed, that they were required to develop through the PIA because of their development, but it's more like a 5-6 acre area that we can use for a forest bank in the future. They're required to plant 2 acres of it.
Understood, gotcha. And so we,
And we've got another 4 acres that we can continue to have developers or us
Or us,
add to.
whoever create forest back.
we have to do the preparation for that?
Nope, we require them to do it as part of the development
And are
process.
they only doing the preparation for the 2 acres, or are they doing the preparation for the whole site?
Most of it was cleared anyways.
Yeah, just for the 2 acres at the present time, the removal of the invasive species. And
That's amazing.
whenever a developer or a section is developed, then the invasive species are addressed there.
Do we have forest reforestation taking place due to the Willard development or the Harts development? Are those projected to have it as
They'll be
well?
doing on-site.
On-site, right. And Harts?
On-site.
On-site, okay, good.
Where is this forest bank located again?
Is that
Dr. Moore Court, like going towards the middle school on the backside of it.
Past the middle school, behind the middle school.
It's on
So
Coatine
near where
Way.
that trail that was being
Yes,
proposed?
correct. It's where that would have ended, yeah.
Okay,
It's still gonna go through there. When we did the easement lines, we created an easement to that trail, we still go through there.
awesome. Fantastic.
It's a unapproved.
Yeah.
Great segue into.
It's
Segue.
true.
Anyway.
So the second thing is the Trails Working Group met 4 times to sort of look at the trail system and look at what was proposed in the 1990 master plan and what meets really the modern issues that we face in terms of trails. They've completed their work. They are working on a report now. Staff has reviewed a draft of it, and then Brian, who's a member of the Trails Working Group, due to his capacity on the Planning Commission, has it now, and then the rest of the Trails Group will receive it, and then at the January Parks Board meeting, they will present that, and then it will go to the Planning Commission as well before coming before you guys. So that's the update right now. That's where we're at on that process.
Great.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you, staff. Yep, next.
Cultural Arts District Survey. So we're going to have Pacific Valley surveyors go out and actually start surveying the roadways, right-of-ways, easements all along the area where it's proposed for the Cultural Arts District, which is down West Willard, Wooten Avenue, Elgin Road, Norris Road. Right now, we have an idea of some of them, but until you get a survey and you know it's title searches, you know exactly where the easements and right-of-ways are. Do you know when that's starts?
It's probably, I would think January is more.
Okay. So we're going to send a letter out also to all the property owners so they know what's going on when somebody shows up with a tripod and start doing the thing and painting the ground up. And really, it's to find out exactly where the easements are, because we're talking about sidewalks now, and we really don't know 6-foot sidewalk, 10-foot sidewalk. There's so many questions, so we're trying to get a good picture of, what we do, what we need to request, or what we will require if somebody wants to develop that they have to do. So it's all just part of that process. It's another piece that helps us put the whole puzzle together.
I like it. One of the oldest sections of town. It's one of the ones we know the least amount about.
So
When it comes down to it. So now we finally have to dig in and do that work to figure out what we got there.
Great.
So that's pretty cool. Because we know this on every neighborhood,
Right.
Yes.
but we don't know it there.
When do we start getting feedback from people that live in the CAD or proposed CAD?
So we didn't pick any particular time, we just notified them discussions are taking place just in the beginning of it, and let them know that, the meetings do take place. I think I'm gonna add to that, because we probably will have a public hearing at some point.
Yeah.
Before, we revise everything and send it up to the commissioners for their adoption.
Okay.
They'll have to have their own public hearing also.
Yeah.
So they'll be invited to, participate
So
or
we get to
come in, so.
go to 2 public hearings.
Yep.
Exactly. And then holiday lighting, Tara, Preston, and their crew have been working for quite a while now, getting everything prepared to go. And It's been good, they're ready to go. They request you guys to be on stage at 6:30.
Great.
Okay.
And I'll find out about heaters. Sarah brought that up. Yeah. Be 25 degrees.
Gas
so-
heaters underneath
Love
the.
the sound of that.
Yeah.
We still use the same thing we press down.
Yeah.
Bring the kids up front, let them press and be
Yep.
careful.
So when I sent the email out on Facebook today, I requested little kids that want to participate, just to let us know up front. But that may or may not stop the mad rush to the stage. So
There's usually a
we'll
mad
see.
rush.
We'll see how that works. But just be prepared. That's fine. I've told Niles that we will take particular care of his daughter when she
He
gets up on
enjoys doing
stage.
it, so.
Yeah, that's cool. That's exciting for me. All right.
Yep.
Yes, sir?
Any questions?
What did we miss that we talked about today?
I thought you were going to ask me about
Oh, I am supposed to ask you, what is it? I don't remember.
developments.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Right, you queued it up for me. Well, I queued it up anyway on my Facebook post already. Thank you for that. I told you I'm still in a daze. So yeah, earlier in our prep meeting that we do on Mondays for the town meeting, we had a kind of a general discussion about developments. And as you guys know, there's a little bit of a primer that's on the website that talks about it. I put the link out on Facebook today, just so people could get a general idea. We don't want anything sneaking up on them in terms of when they start seeing the shovel in the ground, or I would imagine they're going to have a trailer that's going to be put in next door. But why don't you guys give us an update and tell us where we are with each of those developments?
Sure. So the first thing they're going to see is a letter, at least the contiguous property owners are, because they're going to do some test blasting, probably the first of the year. We received our letter in town hall today, and they gave us a heads up they were going to send it. They said it was coming out. I didn't expect it that quick.
Yep.
But, so there'll be some of folks seeing it. So you see it on Facebook or something that, they'll start blasting, but that's what it is, test blasting.
Testing for,
Rock.
okay, so blasting to see if they.
Yeah,
can
they're going to see
blast.
how deep and what the density of the rock is, and I don't know.
Seismic results.
So they're offering a survey for people.
Seismic
Out and
response
inspect their
coming.
Structures, take pictures, all this stuff beforehand, which is a smart thing anybody should do, so.
Yep.
And you guys remember the furor that this took place when the previous developer eons ago put out that 98, they were doing a survey for 98 houses to be looked at in terms of stormwater, I guess, back in the day. So you can expect that once this letter reaches all these neighborhoods, this is going to be circulated, it's going to be on Facebook. We just got to be aware of it,
Yeah.
and we're going to try and stay ahead of it.
Great.
So talking about, go ahead, you can talk about this one next door.
Yeah, so next door, they're in the process of getting their bonding and things like that. John and I were talking about this before the meeting. So they are looking to be pretty aggressive. So as I said, blasting takes in January. They're trying to get things really rolling after the first of the year. So after the blasting, actually doing construction. Beginning on Fisher Avenue here, they want to construct those sort of first 6 houses there and then work their way back. So that's how they're going to start the process. And then with.
Hang on,
Oh,
and
sorry.
including access to what we've designed in terms of our overall
Correct,
streetscape.
correct, yes. Mhm.
So again, once people are start really chewing on this thing a little bit, remember it's about that they're developing the development from the front back, and it's also going to be phase one of what streetscape, their responsibility for streetscape is in terms of doing the park access and preparation back to the HMD building and the John Poole House.
And John and I had a meeting with them, and this was part of what was discussed then as well. So,
Okay.
And then for the townhouses, they are also in the process of doing some of their bonding and things like that. And obviously, they've already started the forest conservation aspect of it. They're looking probably, towards the early spring for them to actually, put shovels in the ground and that kind of thing. And then for the Hart's property,
Sorry to interrupt again. So then in terms of the development that's going to go in behind the CVS, which is what you're talking about, townhouses 39, is that?
38.
38. Is it going to be, are they going to be doing any of the infrastructure work for the traffic circle at that point? Is anything going to be taking place that's going to be in the creation role of the traffic circle?
Just so their plan is based on the idea of there being a traffic circle, but their part is more them giving an easement to an area for where the traffic circle will go, not actually
Construction or anything.
Construction.
They actually
Right.
dedicate a right away right
yeah.
there.
Hmm.
And then, before you move on to the Harts property, where I'm sure I'll interrupt you, Wade, give us an update on have we heard anything more about the funding coming in? We did our big check presentation. I know from David Trone, did we actually cash that check?
No, and I followed up with everything, you'd let them know that David Trone came out and we're all.
Right.
Everything, and
Yeah.
still nothing yet. They said there's been a transition in there, they're working to the offices, so people that are coming in are checking every, dotting every I and every T of all the documents, and there was a lot of documents. And so they probably have a lot of documents besides the documents in our document.
So we need to know that we can, if we need to reach out to April Delaney's office and have them be like almost a heads up, like we're this has been in a status quo position for quite a long
Holding
time.
period for sure, yes.
Yeah, and we just have the check was right there. I don't see it anymore, but. Oh man, I'd serve it up on a platter. You hit it. So anyway, thank you for that. But we definitely need to, obviously, if we have to probably figure out through their transition team and start bugging somebody else at one point or another. All
You
right.
asking for a timeline also to expedite things?
So my connections are with the state folks. And the state folks are an intermediate to the federal folks that I can't talk to. And so there's like a disconnect between the two. And so
They won't let you talk to the federal folks, right?
No, that's right.
But what if someone else talks to the federal folks? Will that get us in trouble?
So that's what we tried to go through Trone's office, and that we were trying to do that. So we did try to circumvent that procedure.
Like even if Fair Access was to put a bug in the ear
We
of
put a
us.
link on them.
Oh, that's what I didn't say that, but I mean, it's not a bad idea. If there's the bug that's put in the ear of the folks, is April coming linked to this event?
Yeah.
And right now, Kennedy is still her keeper, and we know her well, too.
So there's opportunity for conversation, not that you have that conversation, but other advocates of understanding the process when they came out, took pictures and dropped off a check. Let's get it moving.
There's probably a whole box of these things sitting on someone's desk until the new people come in. They can't. That's what I'm guessing.
So there's nothing wrong with a little facilitation of movement.
No, I think on Thursday night, I think it's appropriate.
Yeah.
So
Not for Wade, but for other people who might be in this room.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's fine. Makes sense. It's good. All right, so go ahead now.
No, I'm good.
You made
Give
your way
us something good, man.
Go to the Hearts.
So for the Harts property, they're a little bit further behind, I guess is the right way of saying it. They're still going through some stuff with the county and with the State Highway Administration because of their access on Fisher Ave there. So they aren't quite as far along in terms of shovel ready as the other two are. So that will still take a little bit of time.
In fact, Miles, I haven't seen it yet, but
Yeah.
I got a call on the highway coming home from the developer today
Okay.
about some additional questions.
Okay. So we can follow up on that.
Give us the developers for each one of those projects.
So for behind us, it's Mid-Atlantic Builders. For Petrella's, for the townhouses, it is their development. I think with Brian Affen and them are actually leading that. So that's all one unit. And then it's Christopher's and Companies for the Harts property.
So the Mid-Atlantic going to
Yep.
be here, and that we are having active conversations with them right now.
Mhm.
in terms of-
Literally just before the meeting, I had emailed back and forth with Joe from Mid-Atlantic, so, about the bonding, so, and I gave this to John, so.
And down at the Hearts Development, this is Christopher Companies, the same people that did the developments that are on Peachtree right now.
That's my understanding, yeah. Mhm.
They were on Peachtree, and I think they did the ones down on Big Woods Road, too.
Yeah,
So they're an area developer builder. They've never actually built in town before, so I'm sure they're going to be our guys. We've already had some advice scenarios that have come through that make sense for them. And then Petrella is doing it himself in partnership.
with Brian Affen, who has testified before the
I was going
planning
to say, he's
commission.
been in front of the planning commission
and
too,
so
right?
on. So they are very engaged with us and in this process.
And then the development that's going in, my next door neighbor or close to it, what do we have going on from them right now? What have we heard?
Right now, we're just waiting.
Water and sewers developed.
Yeah.
I couldn't see it, but when I was driving in, there was sorry to say, a bit of mud on the road. So it looked like they've been in and out of there. But that's something to look at tomorrow for me.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Appreciate that. Very slippery on motorcycle tires on
Yeah.
that.
I realize that.
on that mud. I did have a question for you guys too. On the, right at the edge of that development is that terrible power scenario. That's that thing that's hanging out there.
Communications.
Yeah, communications. Is someone going to be able to clean that up at any point in this? Can we ask?
We've reached out previously.
We have several times.
Yeah. And so we can always try again, but yeah, that's what we've done so
I
far.
mean, that thing looks raggy, and you guys, you remember when the old guy that used to live across the street, we saw him messing around with that? I'll save that one for later, but we had some scary moments. There was a guy that would go out in his underwear, and we saw him with a big screwdriver, like, inside that big power unit.
Fixing his cable, he wasn't
He
getting.
was saying,
Waiting to be electrocuted, right?
I called immediately. I'm like, man, you got to stop doing that.
Yeah.
But that one, and then also too, that one that's still hanging by the entrance over there at the townhouses. I know that nobody,
Yeah.
that's a bad
And-
one.
And we've sent that to the cable office and other things. I mean, we've tried.
Whose responsibility, is their responsibility?
So it's,
Depends what, whoever's it is, whether it's Verizon or if it's, cable Comcast or whatever.
right. But it's definitely a communication one. It's not a power one.
So anything that we can do besides nag, any fines,
I
anything?
think we should contact Maryland because the cable
Yep.
department still oversees the franchises for those companies.
Yep.
And they have to comply with safety. I think if she
Right.
stepped in, it would help.
Certainly, we can share that. Maybe we can share that with.
If they don't comply,
Yeah.
what tools do we have to help them?
The biggest thing is when you contact them, just tell them it's a health and safety issue.
Yeah.
Well, that's what we did. We told them the one that was by the high school was hanging down
Yeah.
there and kids were messing with it.
Yeah, we did that, and then that one, there is a complaint form that you go through with the county to report these things. And I think we've reported the one
On Fisher.
on Fisher
Yeah.
at least twice.
So play it
Because
out.
I did it once, and I
Follow
think
through
Hope
again.
did it once.
So play it out. Let's say it gets ignored, neglected, rejected. What other means do we have to?
Or something hanging like that, we could take our own bucket truck and take it up and tie it up so it's safe and out of, reach of anybody. For just the ugliness of the one down on Fisher Avenue.
That infrastructure holding up that box has got to be 50 to 70 years old.
So there's a safety concern, right?
It is, yeah. Well, it's also, but it's just as much as it's visual.
More of aesthetic.
It was an eyesore, but I'm thinking on a safety concern, and I'm just thinking like, if there was anything, even if there was a fine, is there anything that any
We
teeth?
don't have jurisdiction
We
to,
don't have any jurisdiction, so we don't have any teeth that can bite.
And we just have beautiful
Okay.
entrance signs, and then you drive by that, and it looks like hell. And it's
Link-
even more exacerbated because they're building on that side.
we do
Link,
have-
were you saying call Marilyn, our county counselor member?
Because the cable television department is part of the county. They oversee franchises, and every one of these, Verizon and Comcast both have franchises granted by the county, and it's managed by the cable department. And they have certain requirements. One of the things there that you could certainly talk about is the fact that it's easily damageable if it's on the ground. Anybody who wants to can go over and cut it. So part of it is not just safety, it's also the security of this stuff.
Right.
They should put it up just for that reason alone. But that unit oversees franchises, and if they're not complying with franchises, and I know part of it is they're supposed to hang it. We used to have a series of things where they had to hang the wires in a certain way. The top one's always electric, and it goes down from there. They shouldn't be on the ground, which is where they are right now. Either bury it or put it up on the pole. one of the
I
two.
will follow through Maryland because I was actually sending off an email today for other issues, but.
And Maryland's coming on the 5th too, right?
Yeah, she's coming.
I have to say, but we do have contact with like the gas company. We've had issues with trees that were dead on their easements and we've worked through the process and got the hold of the right people. Tree fell on the Boar's Head fence over here from the Verizon building. Finally got all the right people and they came out and took care of it. So we do have good.
Yeah, just this
things that
folks
happen,
right here.
too. This one here has been difficult.
It just sometimes you have to find the right person too. I've literally given my card to people who've come here to do work, just to try to get somebody with some of these utilities. So just to say, give this to your boss and see if we can find somebody.
So definitely want to stay in our lane, but if there's a point where we need to put the flasher and come over for a minute, by all means, reach out. Don't want to muddy the lanes, but if there's something we could do to help push things, just let us know.
Jerusalem Road update, looks like they're still working on it, but they're still very appreciative of the response. It looks like they've actually paved more than they intended to already. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
what you-
full depth patches, but
It was, the section that's in town is done.
Yeah, yeah.
Or I call it in town.
In town, border,
border. Yeah. They were working, when I left, they were working.
further up,
Further up. And
closer to 28. Yeah.
They had marked out a significant amount of the area, even prior, the day after we met. So, it looked pretty good, and the work they had done had been,
Tolerable. How about, what happened, what was all the digging and the paving that took place in front of locals, in front of Old Town Hall?
that was the replacement of the gas line patch that had been done.
Right, prior.
Finally, just happened to stumble upon the right guy, like they say.
Because there's a huge turnover rate in the people that are in the office.
Yeah, the utilities, right.
So he was shocked that it hadn't been patched.
So we did that, so they just patched where they did the connection when we had raised hell about locals not having gas, right? And
Another
then,
good experience, we had the gas company came out after we missed this Perta made up, remember?
yeah, that was,
We finally got.
They did right.
And took care of it, so.
yeah, it's like they had to wave a magic wand and have a seance and doing all the other stuff to get it to work, but, okay, I was just wondering how that went, because that looked like it was a much better repair, obviously, than,
The other was a temporary patch that never.
that was almost for how long, right? 2 years or something like that, 3 years, yeah. All right, good. That's all the infrastructure question I have. Anything else, you guys, from town staff? We've hit it all.
Everybody's,
Okay.
the new design that Alan came up with.
Like it.
Yeah, it's nice looking.
All right, looks good.
Whose shirt is this, Alan?
You know, I don't know. I mean, I have some vendors that are local.
That's a
so,
safe
I mean,
answer.
Is that a medium?
What size
that
is it?
It's extra large. Looks
It
like.
should be. I
Yeah,
think it's an extra large.
Yep.
yep.
Okay, no comment.
Probably will fit only one person on this board.
Well, I need
Oh.
maybe 2 X's.
know.
That might be yours, Wade.
I can take it
That's all. We have plenty of options on the apparel.
Listen,
Quarter zips, polos, all that good stuff.
Sarah and I will let you guys fight it out for the XL.
But I'll take 2, you know.
Yeah.
X's.
I got it. Yeah, Alan, that looks great. Good job on it.
Appreciate it.
Okay, you guys, anything else from the board? Your first real complete meeting? Good stuff. Anything else? Nope. Someone make a motion?
A motion. Go ahead, sir.
Go
A
ahead.
motion that we adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Ed, second by Sarah. Any questions, anything else for the good of the order? Everybody in approval of adjournment, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Anybody? Nope. We are adjourned.
Hey, so Jim,
Have a
you're
good
gonna
evening,
go on the 12th, right?
Yeah.
All right. Brian, did you want to go on the 12th?
Yeah.
All right. So you got something else you got to do, right?
You're talking about the MML?
Yeah.
Yes, I have